Hi, everyone. This is Amber and Sam, and this is our podcast, Lipstick, Lies, and Liberation. We have a podcast that's just centered around women, all things women, strengthening each other, sharing stories, talking about how to grow, and really getting the most out of life and feeling liberated. So, today we are going to do our episode on boundaries, and it is the boundary glow up. I don't know if you've ever set boundaries in your life, if you've ever researched what are boundaries. I feel like most women kind of start to get boundaries when they're in like a crisis situation or things are falling apart. So we're here to talk about boundaries, how to implement them healthy, and set them up before you're in that kind of a situation. So, do you want to say hi, Sam?
Oh, hello.
Hello. So we will start out with our segment, our lipstick lie and liberation, before we dive into the boundary glow up. So I will start first. My lipstick for the week is I went out to a very nice dinner, not on a date, but with a friend. And it was so nice catching up with her. We had martinis and scallops and all the things. And we dressed really nice. And it was a beautiful restaurant and just got to talk about what's going on in our lives. She's also a single mom who's divorced. So it's also very empowering and stuff to sit down and talk to her and kind of swap stories.
Hmm.
My lie is I feel like my life, and sometimes when you're older, you get into like kind of a routine. And last night, after I had that dinner with her, I had someone reach out and say, "Hey, meet me at this random bar." And I was on my way home to get all tucked in. And then I was like, you know what? I am going to meet that person at the bar. So I went, and it was a very like diverse bar. It had like loud music. It was a vibe, and I just had so much fun. There was dancing, crowds. It was just a great time. I laughed, I sang,
Mhm.
great people watching. So a lie is that like I've been in like kind of like a situation in my life where like my plans are set and then I kind of stick to them at this age. And it was
Mhm.
nice to kind of be like, I can detour and do whatever I want.
Yeah, breaking free from the Matrix.
The Matrix. I know.
Yeah.
I should have been in bed, but it got to a point, like I told you earlier, Sam, it got to 1 o'clock and I was like, I'm going home because
I'm
nothing good is going to happen after this time.
when Amber says the bar was diverse, it's actually that's Amber lives in the suburbs in New Jersey and like it's it's crazy because living now that I live in the South in Virginia, it's like New Jersey is really diverse.
hmm
And
It
it's funny to think about because even in the South, it's like there's no really Italians or like Jewish people here.
is.
So it's like it's mostly white people, and then it's like a specific kind of white people. And then if you want diversity, you have to like search for it. It's not just woven in. It's really crazy. And in Jersey, it is like more woven in, especially Philly, what I'm used to is like so diverse all the time, everywhere.
Well,
Um,
and that's what I kept saying to my friend. Like, it felt like I was in like an old school Philly bar from when I was young. Because, like, the places I go to now, a lot of them, like, they're like people my age and people who, like,
yeah.
work and have a mortgage and stuff. And I showed up to this place and I was like, I was not ready for this. And I am like way too nicely dressed for this. But it was so fun because it was like people my age, like all the way down to like a girl walked by me with like a 21-year-old stash. And I was like, oh my God, and just like all these different cultures, but like to see everyone just like singing and dancing and vibing, like it was a great atmosphere.
Yeah.
And the I had no idea that bar was even there. I'd never been there before.
That's
So
that's cool.
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's so fun. Being around different generations is so fun. There's like one place in Richmond that I go to that it's kind of like, and it feels like you're outdoor in the mountains kind of a little bit when
Mhm.
you're there. And there's like a stage and fire pits, and there's usually like old hippies there,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
50s and 60s, and they're like drunk and they have their beer and they're dancing with their friends, and like I just love being around them. And then there's like sometimes even older and then sometimes younger, and I just, yeah, being around different generations is like so nice and fun. And like again, like it's silly that it's not
Yeah.
a more
And
frequent
that's how it
thing.
was. Yeah, and
Hmm.
that's how it was here. Like there was people older than me too. Like I'm in my 40s and there were people older than that. And so like, like sometimes like in my 40s, like there's been once or twice where I've showed up to a place and I've been like, "Oh, I don't belong here. I feel very out of place. This is way too young for me." Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though there was like a lot of young people here, I didn't feel like that last night because it was
Yeah.
so diverse on like the age range. So,
Yeah, like we're all hanging out together. And it's so,
Yeah.
yeah,
It
very
was
cute.
Yeah, so it was like fun having a night that like went away that I didn't think would go because everything's like so planned out, you know?
Yeah, she's in her
Um,
single mom era.
oh my God, it's so fun. And my liberation is I like had this like epiphany this week that I realized that like the relationships with people that I'm having in my life these last like couple months, like being single and like meeting new people and having new friends, like they've completely changed in the way that like before I had relationships where like I was like serving all the time. Like there were relationships where I would connect with people through pain or like heartache or connect with them because like I was doing something for them or helping them. And like I just kind of realized this week with like people I talk to, people I hang out with, like I hang out with them because like I just chose them because I like them, because
Yeah.
they're fun, because I'm like, oh, you're cool and different. Like, let me bring you in and like experience being with you. And
Yeah.
like, so it's been liberating noticing like I'm changing the relationships in my life. And
Yeah.
like, it's literally like surrounding me with like positive people, fun people, and people who are like so different than me. And it just like is really helping me like grow and like find like a whole new like version of life that I haven't experienced before.
Wow, heck yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
huge.
yeah, it's been very liberating to realize. Like last night I was hanging out with like two friends who are totally different, and like I just hang out with them because like they each bring something different to my life, you know? And
Yeah.
it's not because like they're expecting anything from me. Like they're hanging out with me because they have fun with me. So it's been
Yeah.
like very cool to realize.
Yeah. Sorry.
And I think that's important for women too. Like, you know, like I've been building support group, you know, like I have like people that like, you know, are just there because like they enjoy me and I enjoy them. Like there's no expectations, but it's like nice to have those people.
Yeah. It's nice to broaden your horizon and have a different experience and to not just be the therapist all the time. It's crazy how we both like created that pattern so intensely with
Yeah, I know it
ex.
is.
Never. Yeah.
Yeah,
Me and
yeah.
Amber have just been unpaid therapists for decades. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really cool. It's been nice. So that was very liberating to realize this week.
Woohoo, get it, girl. Okay, great. Well, my lipstick this week is the freaking cobbler. I love the cobbler. I think that sorry. I love the cobbler. I think I just took a bunch of shoes because I love vintage designer shoes. And I took I wish I had them with me to show in the YouTube video.
Yeah,
If
you
you're
have to bring them
listening
next
on Spotify,
time.
you're not missing out because I can't even show it. But um yeah, I just had this stack of shoes forever of like I just needed the heel cap replaced and I finally did it and it was so good and it's like now I can wear those things and I just think being intentional with the things you own and like taking care of them and reusing things that have been around that are still awesome and beautiful. Like I have this vintage Prada shoe pair that's like pony hair and it's like a zebra print and it's so cute and has this little buckle and like it's just a little detail of it and like a little strap over the top that has the print but it's just like adorable and like not buying things new like even though being vegan like I will buy leather and suede secondhand or just try to do the best I can but like yeah, so the cobbler, invest in your shoes, keep them up. Don't just throw them away or donate them because we can just, it's crazy the magic that they can do. So I'm obsessed with the cobbler. I'm very excited about my
And I
shoes.
have to say, when you talk about the cobbler, I feel like I'm time traveling back in time because you're like the cobbler, and I didn't even know they had a name. But I do have shoes that I need to take. So every time you tell a story about it, I'm like, dang, I got to do that, or at least
Yeah,
find
they're
one. Like, I
good.
don't know. Do you Google like cobbler near me? Like, I don't. I thought
Yeah.
you were talking about pie at first. I was like, cobbler sounds good. I
Yeah,
love
you gotta
some
go. Taking your shoes to the cobbler, self-love.
cobbler.
Honestly, it's like I don't know why no one told us about the cobbler. Maybe it's because our parents only had rubber shoes or like the military maybe handled all of dad's shoe
Yeah.
things because I'm sure he had shoes he needed to repair, but like it's such a hack. And if you're someone who likes nice things, like they will
Mhm.
literally take a leather boot that's like worn away from wintertime with like salt and make it look brand new. And it's like you pay a fraction of the price as you would like buying it new. So yeah, I feel
Awesome.
like, yeah, the cobbler, but also a good point. Like, who are all the new cobblers? All the cobblers I know are really old, and like, who's
Yeah.
gonna take over these businesses? They are very important, and I don't know. It's a mystery. But
Throwing out new career paths for our viewers too.
yeah, where's cobbler school? How do you learn? Like, where do they send you if you want to learn? Um,
I don't know.
But yeah, my lie is like being professional like all the time. I kind of have this, and I don't know if this is like my, um, yeah, like my, I don't know. Yeah, just being professional, like feeling like if I'm gonna be getting work done, I have to dress up in like a professional way. And like I love getting dressed up and like feeling like I'm in a cute outfit or I'm like playing the role, but I don't have to look professional. And like even right now, like I'm in the shirt, the t-shirt I slept in and like did not like do makeup and stuff and like third day hair. And so it's just allowing things to be real and that like yeah, letting go of that pressure and that lie, like you have to be professional. And then my liberation is buying stuff my little girl wanted. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see I have these hair feathers in.
Hmm. So I noticed them. They look pretty.
My friend Kristen, shout out Kristen if you're listening. She was just the coolest chick ever in high school. And like her mom, I think her mom went to cosmetology school, like just for herself, like just to learn things. And so she used to do all this cool stuff to like Kristen's hair or like taught Kristen how to do cool makeup. And then I would like kind of learn from Kristen. But Kristen used to have hair feathers and I
Oh,
always wanted them, but like our parents would have never. Our
yeah.
parents were just working or cranky. There was no like, hey, I want to get hair feathers. Okay, let's find a
Yeah.
salon, pay for it. This unnecessary thing. Like, no.
Yeah, like my daughter's like, can we go squishy hunting? And I'm like, sure. Like that would have never happened with us. Yeah.
Never, never. They would have been like, we'll go to Walmart when we get groceries and like maybe you can pick something out from the dollar store next door if you're
If you
good.
have tooth fairy money.
Yeah, and you have to use your own money if you don't have it, you're shit out of luck. Like go get a
Yeah.
job. Like
Mhm.
literally. So
Yeah.
all the little things that like my little girl self or my middle school or high
Mhm.
school self wanted, I'm like, she gets to have. So I like bought a pack and then my fairy hair, I still have it in. I love it. And so, and I saved some for my neighbor too, because I did it on myself. And then I like saved some to put on
Cute.
my neighbor friend's hair. She had parents who did let her get fairy hair in high school or feathers in her hair in high school. So yeah. But
Very
anyway,
cute.
yeah. So if there's anything that's coming to your mind, of like things that you wanted when you were younger, but like just for whatever reason couldn't have or couldn't get, go get it. We love
Yeah.
that.
It's very liberating. I love that. You can provide it for yourself.
Yeah, the time is now. Just go get
Yeah.
that thing. I don't care if it's Lisa Frank folders or yeah, it's
Yeah.
been so fun. I
That's
always
awesome.
wanted a crystal ball. I just got a crystal ball. I just got a geode. Like
Good.
love it. It's getting very witchy up in here. If you've always wanted a dog, go get a dog, but you can't ever take it back. That is your dog for life,
True.
forever. So, um,
Very true.
yeah. But okay, let's get into today's episode, the boundary glow up. Would
Yes.
you like to start?
So I just want to start by saying that, like, I feel like for me personally, and this is going to sound horrible, but I've never had boundaries in my life till probably about like 2 years ago, honestly. And like, it only came about for me when I had like very extreme behavior coming from people in my life that was making me feel like unsafe. And
Mhm.
so, like, once I learned them, things got better for me. And once I was able to implement them, I was able to deter some of that behavior or at least kind of like minimize it if I couldn't control it all the way. And so like I just realized like wow, I've really gone my whole life without having that. And like there's probably so many women who don't think about having these boundaries and there's so many different kinds that you can have. So I just think it's important to like teach it and let people know and like if you implement it in your life, it'll create less stress, less drama, and it'll just help you like maintain your peace. And hopefully you can do that going forward before you get into an extreme situation that then causes you to have to look at it. And like, I know me and you talked yesterday, and like you literally said when you were doing it, you had to like Google what are boundaries, you know? So I think it's important. And I do think it helps you just like stay healthier mentally, like all the way around and happier.
Yeah. Yeah. When I told Amber that when I was getting out of a long-term relationship, I kept hearing all of these people say like good boundaries help you attract a really great relationship. And I was like Googling what are examples of boundaries people have in their relationship. And
Yeah.
so, because I literally had no fucking idea. And I actually used to firmly believe and talk about that boundaries were an excuse to keep a wall up or like to keep
Mhm.
love out. And I was worried that if I had boundaries, then like I wouldn't be my same loving self. And
Mhm.
yeah, and that like boundaries were just an excuse to be like rude or boundaries are like trying to control other people. And I genuinely thought that like it was that I couldn't be loving and have boundaries, but actually boundaries really are the most loving thing you can do to yourself, for yourself. And it helps you be more loving. It's kind of like the limitation creates freedom. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, so we're gonna get into very specific boundaries because people just say these things very like broad spectrum, like, yeah, you need boundaries, but like, what are they? And like, what
Mhm.
kinds of boundaries do you have? Why do they work? What inspired it? So we're gonna get into specific topics, and categories of boundaries, that, yeah, that have really transformed the people we let into our lives, our
Mhm.
experience of our daily lives, because we used to put up with a lot of bullshit from a lot of crappy people, I'll just say it.
Yeah.
Um, and now we don't do that.
No, and I have to say, like, enforcing boundaries, especially with like people that you really love or who are close with you, is very hard to do. And it's, you know, and it ties into the people pleasing episode we had too, you know, where you put it up and maybe you feel like, you know, you're not like making someone happy or giving them what they want, but like it really will develop like healthy relationships in your life, which is ultimately the goal.
Yeah. Yeah. And a healthy relationship with yourself.
Mhm.
And the last thing I'll say before we get into the categories is like, even though I didn't feel a certain way about any of the boundaries that I Googled, like also I couldn't really find much because again, people weren't specific. They were just being very
Yeah.
general. But I was like, okay, I need to put up some boundaries to like test it out and do this for myself. And I didn't feel any strong emotions about any of them, but I just like installed a few and I was like, okay, I guess a boundary I'm gonna do is like no more than 2 dates a week. And I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do all the other rest of my time. Like, because I used to just be like, oh, if I'm free and if I want to, like, yeah, I'll go on a date or like, um,
Yeah.
and not like I had, yeah, just again, it all by feeling in the seat of my pants and not by like a structure for myself built from self-love and self-care. But yeah, so I just like installed some that I didn't even feel like resonated or I didn't really feel like I cared very much, but I did it just to like practice and
Mhm.
it was like the best thing I ever did. So if you're listening to any of these and you're like, okay, well maybe I'll try this one, like just
Mhm.
try it out for a few months and see how it feels. And then maybe things will start to click and like you'll realize like, oh, this is
Yeah.
why.
And that's the thing too, like, it's all about self-love and about, you know, doing things that, like, feel good for you. So, like, when you implement boundaries, it's like what you said, like, try
Mhm.
some out, or if you have, like, an area of your life that feels, like, kinda chaotic, like, create some, and then you can always tweak them. It's not like, you know, you said 2 dates a week, and, like, you know, a month later, you're like, "Dang, I wish I did that 3 dates a week." You know what I mean? Like, and that's the
Or
beautiful thing.
one.
Yeah, I'm scaling up, you're scaling down.
Yeah.
Um but, like, yeah, like, it's about you. So, like,
Yeah.
they're not set in stone. You adjust them. You see what feels good, what doesn't, like, what you need to, like, lighten up on or, like, really hunker down on. And I think, like, your boundaries can change as your situation and your life changes as well too. So
Yeah. Okay, so Amber created this awesome list yesterday And yeah, girl, she did great. And the first one is emotional boundaries. So what are some examples of specific emotional boundaries that you have or have had to set?
So I think boundaries that I've set are I don't allow people to get aggressive with me, like in any way, and that's something I had to learn after like a lot of mistreatment. That's in person, that's through text message, that's through phone calls, like any kind of communication. So like emotionally, if I have somebody like approach me like that, um, it's just like it's done, and whether that's like blocking them or like I actually, yeah, I got to a point where I had somebody who was like communicating with me or trying to communicate with me constantly in a very aggressive, harassing way, like email, text message, phone calls, showing up places I was at, like just to like yell at me or
Yeah.
tell me like I was a horrible person and like all this stuff. And like I will admit, like it got to the point where like I kept saying like you can't call me, you can't do this. And like I had to get like attorneys involved at one point to say
Mhm.
like you cannot communicate with her anymore. Like this is harassment. Like and it got to a point where like it got so extreme that I did like have to go to a police station and like talk to them. And they were like, "Yeah, you can like definitely charge this person with harassment." And I didn't want to, but it
Yeah.
was like I things escalated so quickly and got so bad that like I had to resort to like those kind of tactics. But once I did, and I had like authority people come in and tell this person, like, look, you can't do this. Like that person backed off. And
Yeah.
like for me, it was a huge learning experience because if I had just set that boundary and like it wasn't my fault at all, and I take no
No.
responsibility for this person's actions. But as
Yeah.
a person, like now I know if I set these boundaries with someone early, if they
Yeah.
know, if they call me and start yelling at me, like they're blocked,
Mhm.
like maybe it won't escalate to that point. But so emotionally, I've had like really extreme circumstances. And like now, like, and I went to another relationship and started to tolerate some of those similar qualities, like the
Yeah.
raising of the voice, the
The
yelling, the hurt,
pattern.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I did let my boundaries kind of slip. And I was like, oh, I learned so much. But like now I'm at a point where like going through that twice, like where it's just like not a thing. Like somebody says anything to me, I kind of don't like, and I'm okay being done with that relationship now.
Yeah. Yeah, because I want to make this distinction for anyone listening, because I'm kind of assuming that like you are like me and like Amber, where we want to be kind, we want to be loving, we
Mhm.
want to be a good force of love in this world. And that is just who we are. It's baked in, and that's our default. So, um, kindness is like taking action with love at the center. Kindness is not accepting or forgiving someone being mean or abusive.
Mhm.
Those are very different things. And people mistake the two. Women are taught and programmed to mistake being kind for being forgiving and like allowing losers into their life. So, yeah, love
Yeah.
that we finally broke that cycle.
Yeah, and when you set those kind of boundaries, you'll see, and I've seen in my life this last year, it filters out the types of people who have access to you.
Yeah.
And it does because right now, like, I don't have anybody in my life
Mhm.
who I even could see raising their voice to me or saying mean things to me and yelling. So it really does like adjust the kind of people that you let into your circle, which is important too.
Yeah. Um, yeah, absolutely. And so one similar emotional boundaries, like no one gets to yell at me, no one
Mhm.
gets to call me names, no one gets to disrespect me. I don't care who it is, a boss, a coworker. I had a coworker who was yelling at me, who was very, very much larger than me and scary, and they had access to knives in their workspace, and they would grab them sometimes when they were angry. And like I I walked out. I walked out of the job and I was like, not,
Good.
yeah, never again, never again. And I used to be like, well, I can handle it because like they're wounded and I've
Mhm.
healed so much, and I can like offer love and understanding, and I don't want them to get fired or deported or whatever. But I look back at jobs where like I dealt with something where I'm like because I was so afraid of like losing my job or like not having money. And but like I should have just walked out. Like I feel so bad for my like 20 something self who thought she had to stay and
Yeah.
accept that. So it's such a glow up when you can be like, absolutely not. I don't care what happens. I trust God. I trust the universe. I trust that I'm meant for more. And this is where you have to ask yourself, like, what do you believe in? And this is something not on our list, but spiritual boundaries. Like, what do you believe in? And like, not allow those thoughts of scarcity in your head. Like, I believe that I can find work where I'm treated really well and respected. And it shouldn't be hard, but unfortunately it is, especially for women. So, but yeah, emotional boundaries, people don't get it. And like something with Amber, I used to yell at her all the time because during
Abandon
her divorce, during her divorce, people would just call her or text her their opinions. And I used to be like, I would chew out that person and be like, you do not get to just call me and interrupt my day with your feelings about my life. Like, if you want, we can schedule a time to
Mhm.
talk. If you are someone who I either like want in my life, but yeah, like people can't just be calling you and texting you crazy stuff, opinions that are hurtful about your life if they disagree with something. And I was like, you need to tell them that. Like, you cannot just message me like your
Yeah.
feelings, because that is a you thing, not
Yeah.
me. And Amber would be like, but I don't know.
If
Like,
I just explain this, and I just don't want them to think that that's happening because it's not. And like, I had to get to
yeah.
a point where it was like, I don't care what they think. I don't care
Mhm.
what they believe. It doesn't matter. And like, I think that's important to say, like, setting boundaries, if you've never done it, is really hard. And you
Yeah.
have to give yourself some grace because, like, when that would happen to me, I would be like, okay, this person keeps sending me nasty things. They don't want to talk, they just want to vomit
Yeah.
their opinion that's not
Judgment.
even validated and
Yeah.
just make me feel bad. And I would get text messages and like they would make me cry or they would make me upset. And like you would be like, block them. And then so I would get super strong and be like, I'm gonna have a boundary. I'm gonna block this person. And I would. And then like a month would go by, and then I would think about that person. I'd feel bad, and I would unblock them. And then a month later, I would call, like I would text Sam and be like, "Oh my god, you'll never believe what she said to me." And Sam would be like, "Well, pause. I thought you blocked her. How did you get a text message from her?" And I was like, "Oh, well, one night this picture popped up, reminded me of our friendship, and I was like, oh, it's probably fine now." And I unblocked her, and this is what happened. So give yourself some grace if you've never had boundaries and you're trying to implement them because
Yeah.
I would put them out there and I'd bring them back. Put them out there and I'd bring them back. But every time I loosened up on it, I regretted it. And it just
Yeah.
brought me heartache and it would make me upset. And like, especially if you're going through something difficult, you don't need people to
No.
make your life harder. Anybody in your life who will know that you're going through one of the worst periods of your life and try to pile on that and not just out blindly support you because they love you, it's not somebody that you need there. So setting strong boundaries is like
Mhm.
the most important thing, but give yourself grace because it does take time and it takes practice, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Okay. Next one is physical boundaries. What are some examples of physical boundaries? And maybe we'll do two parts because I feel like we have so many
There are a
categories.
lot.
Yeah. And I do really want to give examples for everyone because, again, like to be specific and give people like, yeah,
Mhm.
but physical boundaries.
So physical boundaries I've implemented is when I have people who were close to me who then started not to treat me well, who I tried to get out of my life. Physical boundaries for me is if somebody's treating me poorly in private, I will not be nice to them in public anymore. And
Mm.
that is like a physical boundary.
Wow.
Before, I would feel awkward, I would feel bad if they said hi to me in front of other people. I wouldn't have the courage to just look at them and be like, "Why the hell do you think you have the right to say hi to me? Like, we're friends." Like, because 2 seconds ago you were just yelling at me or you were stealing money from me, or you know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
like, a physical boundary for me is if someone is mean to me in private, I will not be friendly to them in public. I won't acknowledge them in public. I will not play that game anymore. And that
Yeah.
happened a long time for me. And another boundary is too, like, I will like not let people have access to me, you
Hmm.
know? Like,
Hmm.
no, you can't stop by my house. Like, no, you can't sit near me at a sports game. Like,
Hmm.
you cannot have physical access to me. You cannot be
Yeah.
around me. And I think
Yeah.
that's important because, and a lot of people who like abuse or mistreat people will do it in private and they don't want that public shame. So,
Hmm.
like, I think if you put physical boundaries when you see someone, um, it really like changes the dynamic and it lets people know that you're serious, you know?
Well, I think an important distinction is boundaries controls your behavior, not others, because
Yes.
we can't control how other people act. So again, like I can't control in a public space someone trying to be pretend that we're all
Mhm.
chummy and everything's fine, but I can control me walking away and creating space. So it's not ever about controlling someone else. It's here's the standards for my life that keep
Mhm.
me safe and happy and well, and like I will follow like a roadmap. Yeah.
And it's hard to do. Like if you're in like a public space with someone that
Mhm.
like people know that you guys know each other and you are at the point where you don't want to acknowledge them or be around them, if they come up to you and smile and say, "Hey Sam," and you just look away and walk away, you're gonna look like the bitch and
Yeah.
you're gonna look mean. And that was very hard for me. I'm like,
Mhm.
well, now like everybody's gonna think all these things are true because they're seeing me in public display, not
Yeah.
being nice to you without having the backstory of why I don't acknowledge you or
Yeah.
why I don't want you near me because I don't feel safe as like a
Yeah.
person in many ways.
Mhm.
And it's hard to get to that place where you're okay with it, but you have to.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, you're right. So you sit there and you pretend to be nice to this person or you let them near you and then you're uncomfortable the whole time. Like, you don't deserve that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. So if this is your first time listening, Amber is divorced and has children. I'm not divorced. I am engaged for the first time in my life. I'm 35. Amber's in her very early 40s. And she looks 30. But yeah, just in case you don't know like where we're at in terms of our life, but I feel like yeah, but Amber had to like go through a crash course. I mean, we both did, but like I feel like I had slightly a little bit more time because it all unraveled before a little bit before your divorce. So
Yeah.
yeah, so luck, I mean, good thing though, because again, I could be like, hey, like people can't just do that to you, and you'd be like, wait, what? Like,
Mhm.
because again, like we didn't have, and again, we love our mom so much. We love you, mom, if you're listening. But we just didn't have any examples of boundaries. We didn't have any
Well, and
representation.
not from our dad either, you know? We
No.
didn't have any parents. And I think, like, for someone too, like, if you're going through a divorce, like, that can be really hard. And,
Mhm.
like, other physical boundaries, like, sometimes you're going through a divorce and the other person hasn't moved out or you haven't moved out, and for financial
Yeah.
reasons or power reasons or whatever it is. But, like, another physical boundary is, like, my ex, it was very clear we were getting divorced. It was talked about for months. It was over. He would not leave the bed. And like for me as like a chivalry thing, I thought that like he should sleep on the couch or on the basement or something. And he stayed. And it made me like wildly uncomfortable to be like sleeping next to him at night and things were very volatile. And so like I implemented physical space and I slept in the basement. I slept in the couch. And like I try to do it in discreet ways too. Like, you know, once my kids fell asleep, like I would move and then like get up in the morning and like, you know, like there's all these things, but like I did find a way to finally create physical space. So if like you're around somebody who's not willing to do that, even if you ask for it, like you have to find a way to do it for yourself, you know? And no, it wasn't comfortable sleeping in the
Yeah.
basement, but it was more comfortable sleeping in the basement by myself and feeling that peace and sleeping next to a man that,
Yeah.
you know, was not treating me
Horrible. And Amber's just the best mom. So you all just know that. She is like
well.
the greatest mom ever. I love seeing her be a mom. And
Thank you.
yeah, which I feel like is very obvious from what you just said too. But an example for physical boundaries for me is like and this is something I've had to implement with even my new friends across the street. Like I love them so, so much and I want to just we want to hang out with them and do everything with them. But like it's been very hot in Virginia. It's like 95, 98, and 99 and like I will not walk a lot in the heat outside and they love walking everywhere or like scootering. So I'm like I will drive or I will meet you there. Like I love walking, but not in the heat. And so that's a boundary for me that sets me up for success because sometimes I've if I did walk with them in the heat one time and it was like felt really anxious and we stopped for a while to like take a break because both of them actually have disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm like, I don't know if they're stopping because they need to stop. And now I'm stuck outside in the heat way longer because I
Yeah.
thought we were just walking, not like walking, stopping, and then walking back. So that's a new boundary for me is like, I'm not walking in the heat if it's like really hot outside. Like, even if it's just like 5 or 6 blocks, like, I'm not doing it. I'll walk inside. And then the other thing is like I really need a day to myself where I have no expectations, no schedule, no phone calls expected, nothing planned. Like no one needs anything from me and I can just be in my like cave and do whatever I want and or I can frolic. Like usually those days end up being really productive because I have this space and freedom. So it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
like you just get inspired ideas and just do stuff all day long, but none of it was like planned or forced. And that feels really nourishing for me and my nervous system. And like, so, and not having any input, like no one's observing me. Like, even though I love my
Mhm.
fiance so much and like we live together, and this is something I need to like really get better at. But like having a day of like not being observed, not being
Yeah.
watched, not that he's like watching me, you know what I mean? Like just actually
Having some like alone time and some physical space to like be alone. Yeah.
yes, to process emotions. One of my favorite things is like sitting on the ground with a candle and music playing and journaling to like process emotions. So, that is like a physical boundary that is like sets you up for success and helps you like glow up because then you can nourish yourself and then pour from a full cup. So,
Yeah.
yeah. We have to wrap it up because Amber has to go be a good mom and like usual. But maybe I think we should do a part two if you want.
I think we will too, because we covered
Yeah.
emotional and physical boundaries. Do you want to go over some of the boundaries we'll do in the next episode?
Yeah, so for part two, we will cover relationships, which I'm sure we both will have a lot to say there. Um,
Yeah.
boundaries around like bringing people around your children after divorce,
Mhm.
that whole thing, which is like a whole ecosystem.
That's
Work
important.
boundaries, friendship boundaries, health boundaries, time boundaries, family boundaries, big one, money boundaries,
Mhm.
lifestyle boundaries. And I'm going to add spiritual because I think that's an important, like unexpected, not very talked about thing as well. So, and
Yeah.
we'll have time to brainstorm that.
Yeah, and I do think it's like important for people to know, like it's good to like go over everything and then like yeah, kind of try to be intentional, like set down some boundaries and then try them out and adjust them. And like even as we were doing this episode, I realized like wow, like last night I had a boundary. Like when I was going over my lies and liberation, I said to you like there was another bar and like I was like sure I was going home because it was like a certain time. I wasn't tired, but it was a certain time and I was like, "You know what? Like as a single woman, like out there and like, like I just felt like I was in a space where I was like, it's too late and I'm going home. Like I don't, and like it was a boundary I had for myself.
Yeah, but you were still, that's such a good example because like you were still open to the fun and you
Hmm.
still had like a spontaneous good time, which was like again so new for you being married so young and like having
Yeah.
kids and so that's like awesome. You still got to feel like free and like spontaneous and have fun and then you still stuck to things that made you feel supported and like no,
Hmm.
self-respect. Like I'm going home. Like
Yeah.
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 So
Exactly.
good. We love it.
Always
Let us
learning.
know if you've implemented any boundaries recently that have transformed your life or relationships. We would love to hear them because we love just more examples. And maybe we can also get into like how you can set boundaries because maybe you want to set some that aren't any of the ones that we've mentioned or related. Um, and I feel like there is a very specific, easy way you can figure out how to come up with boundaries. So, um,
Mhm.
yeah, that we can talk about next time. But okay, thank you for listening. Please subscribe. It helps us so much. Share with a friend if you want. Give us a comment or a follow on YouTube or Spotify. You can find me on Instagram at Sammy B Love. Amber will be posting her shorts throughout the week that are so cute. We're gonna work on starting an Instagram page for the podcast.
Yeah.
But we love you. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.